have something important to share with you guys, okay? Today we are talking about the first step to making steady progress on your dreams or on your goals. All right, so we're going to talk about one of the reasons why you might not be seeing steady progress, why it feels like you're throwing spaghetti at the wall, and a sneaky way you might be playing small without even realizing it, even if you're taking a lot of action, right? And then the sort of perspective shift and mindset shift that's going to help you get out of your own way so that you can make steady progress. And we're going to talk about the first step. Okay, so let's get into it. So the reason you may not be seeing steady progress, and this is something I see all the time and I help people work through, is here's the secret magic sauce. And it's the answer that no one wants to hear. But steady progress comes from consistency. It comes from consistency, okay? Steady progress towards your goals or towards your dreams comes from consistency. So what's holding us back from being consistent, and how do we solve for that, right? So the reasons that we find ourselves not sticking to our plans of action, not sticking to our strategies or our methods or our approaches, right? Not being consistent is discomfort. It's as simple as that. It's discomfort and fear of the unknown, and that's just the way our brain operates, okay? So let's contextualize this a little bit. You have a dream, you have a goal, and you're like, cool, I'm going to go at it with this plan of action, okay? I'm going to go at it with this method or this approach. And you try that for a little bit. In the beginning, it's what I call like the honeymoon phase. There's all this excitement about going after your goal and going after your dream and doing something new. And so as soon as that wears off, as soon as that exciting kind of charged energy burns out, because it always does, there is that hump that we have to get through, right? You know, when it comes to forming new habits, there's always like that hump, that crest that we have to make it over for everything to start falling into place and feeling familiar and like it's a habit, right? If we never crest the hump, the new habit is never fully formed. And so these are habits for, I'm talking about whenever you're working towards a goal or making moves on your dreams, you're forming new habits of being and doing, right? And so when you're in that honeymoon phase and you're like, cool, I'm gonna do this thing, I'm gonna go after this goal or chase this dream, as soon as it gets uncomfortable, as soon as we kind of start approaching that hump, or an unforeseen challenge or something arises, our brain does that human thing that it does, and it's like, oh, this isn't fun anymore, this is uncomfortable, this is asking me to show up in ways that feel really scary and unfamiliar, right? And so we go, this isn't for me. I'm going to try this instead. And so we switch to a new strategy or a new approach or a new method. And the same thing happens. We do that for a little bit, right? We're like, yeah, we're plugging along. And then it's like, okay, now I'm meeting some kind of resistance. It's uncomfortable. There's an unforeseen challenge, whatever. This isn't for me. It doesn't feel right. The vibe's off. I'm going to try this thing, right? And so this constantly switching whenever it gets a little uncomfortable, whenever it gets, whenever there's a challenge or some resistance or a hurdle or a hump to sort of work through, this kind of constant switching is what's keeping us from showing up in a very consistent, focused way, right? So we want to solve for, like, how can we support ourselves in moving through, I guess the reason we don't crest that hump is because either we don't have the skills or we don't have the support to fall back on to help us move through that discomfort, to move through the uncomfortable aspects of change, because all change is uncomfortable. And so when it comes to building new habits, which you're going to have to do to go after your goals and your dreams, new habits and ways of being and doing in the world, right? You're going to have to move through the discomfort of change. And of course, no one wants that, right? We all want the easy fix. We all want the magic pill. We all want to skip all of that uncomfortable stuff right? Like who doesn't? We're human. We just want to skip the uncomfortable stuff. There's nothing wrong with that, right? And so this switching is it's our brain going, no, like this is too hard, this is too difficult, this is uncomfortable, it's asking me to stretch in ways that I don't want to stretch, and so there must be a better way, something that's easier, right? And so then we switch. There must be a better way, something that's faster, and then we switch. There must be a better way, something that's XYZ. So we're always searching for that perfect, or that fast track, or that I can do this, I can go from 0 to 100 with, and skip the entire growth process that's involved in going after my dreams and creating goals. And that's just not the case. You're going to have to move through some of the uncomfortable stuff if you want to create real change, right? That's just how it works. And, all of that, that's where the magic happens, you guys. That's where the magic happens, is in that growth, right? It's the journey of becoming the person who has or holds or is the person that is living and embodying, right? That next version of ourselves. It's the journey of becoming that next version of ourselves that is living or embodying what it is we want, our goal, our dream, right? That's where all the magic happens. And so again, the constant switching, like looking for something better, looking for something easier, looking for something more like aligned or perfect for you, that is what is keeping you from being consistent in just picking something and showing up for it in a consistent way. And that lack of consistency is what is keeping you from making steady progress towards your goals and dreams, okay? So how do we solve for this? How do we support ourselves so that we can show up consistently and kind of leave the switching stuff behind, right? It's playing with our decision energy. It is simply deciding. It's deciding, I'm going to show up for this dream. I'm going to show up for this goal. I'm going to show up for it in this way, giving ourselves a focus. I'm going to choose this path or this method or this strategy or this approach, and I'm going to show up for it consistently until it happens or the desire changes. Because let's be honest, sometimes when we're building things and creating things, our desires shift and shift a little bit, right? As we grow and evolve, our desires kind of shift and grow and evolve with us. So I'm going to show up for this thing until it happens or the desire changes, right? That's our decision energy. I'm not going to switch. I'm sticking to this thing. It's giving ourselves a focal point. I'm going after it, and I'm going after it in this way. And when it gets uncomfortable, I'm not going to switch and look for something better, right? This kind of grass is always greener on the other side thing. I'm sticking to it, right? That's our decision energy. And you might be like, yeah, but I'm already decided. I've decided that I'm going to go after a thing, and I know what decision is, and I've been in deciding energy, blah, 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 blah. I've already made the decision. I would challenge you on that. Like, if you're someone who's been switching, who's been like trying a thing and then switching, and it feels like you're throwing like spaghetti at the wall, right? Because you're doing all the things. So this is the sneaky way that we get trapped. We think that we're decided, and we think that we're taking all of this action because you're trying this thing for a little bit, and then you're trying this thing for a little bit, and then you're trying this thing for a little bit. So you're working really hard. You're taking a lot of action. You're expending a lot of energy, but none of that is making steady progress, right? Because you're starting over each time. You're starting from scratch each time. And so we're not actually moving the needle in a progressive way, okay? So it feels like you're taking a lot of action. It feels like you're playing big. But in that scenario, your energy isn't decided on one thing. It isn't decided on a focal point, and it isn't decided on consistency. Your energy is actually in more of a limbo, wishy-washy state of not decision energy, but like, I'm gonna try this, see if it works, see if it feels good, and if the universe doesn't deliver what I want, right, the results I want or the outcome I want in the timing that I want and in the way that I want, then that means it's not working. And so I'm gonna try this now, and I'm gonna try it and see if it works, you know, like, you know, you know what I mean? Like, and if the universe doesn't deliver the results I want or the outcome I want and the timing I want and the way I want, then it's not for me. And so we're almost in that kind of, we're in a wishy-washy state. Instead of standing in our power as creators, as choosers and deciders, we're in this wishy-washy place of, I want the universe to sort of go first and validate my desires for me, convince me, persuade me that I've made the right choice, like to validate my choice, that this path is the one, or this method or strategy or whatever is the one for me, right? We're asking the universe to deliver to us when we're not even in our power, ready to be a co-creator. Okay, does that make sense? Think about it in a relational way. Like, if you were building a relationship with someone, whether it's like a friendship or romantic or something, if you're building a relationship with a new person, and they're in wishy-washy energy where they're like, I don't feel like we made a commitment to do this thing, but I don't feel like showing up today, and they just ghost on you. You're kind of like, that rubs me the wrong way, right? If they're not consistently showing up for the things that they said they'd show up for, if they're not consistently building relationship on the level that you're building relationship on, right? There's going to be some tension. There's going to be some resistance. There's going to be some like, is this relationship really working out? Okay. So when it comes to the universe, or even your dreams and desires and goals, you can think about it as building relationship with the universe as like a manifestor or co-creator, or building relationship with your goals and desires and dreams as a manifestor and co-creator, right? If you're like, I'm gonna do this thing, but I don't feel like showing up today, and maybe I'll show up for it tomorrow, right? You're not consistently showing up for what you said you'd show up for. Or if you're like, I'm gonna try it this way, and if that doesn't work, I'm gonna switch to something else. You see how you're in this inconsistent, wishy-washy, not sure, kind of playing it safe, playing it small, not really taking like any risks. You're not really standing in your power. You're sort of giving your power away to outside situations and circumstances, again, to validate to you that you've chosen correctly, that you're on the right path, that you can do this, that this dream is really meant for you, instead of just standing in your power as an embodied creator and saying, as a creator, as a creatrix, I get to decide. I get to choose what it is I want to go after, what it is I want to create, and what it is I want to build, right? If those things are written on your heart, if that stuff is tugging at your soul, that's the only validation you need that it is for you, right? It's like we don't trust ourselves. We need that outside validation, right? Where the validation's already alive inside of you. To decide, you really have to trust that was written on your heart for a reason, that shit is alive inside of you for a reason, that is your validation, right? And so standing in our creatrix energy and standing in our decision energy is like, okay, boom, the seed's already inside me, so I'm deciding. I'm gonna go after it until it happens or the desire changes. I'm creating a path, I'm choosing a path, and I'm committing to it, and I'm showing up for it until it happens or the desire changes, right? That's the kind of committed partnership that the universe wants, right? The universe doesn't want to co-create or build relationship like we just, shared in this relationship analogy with someone that's like, but I don't feel like showing up today. I know we made plans, but I'm opting out, or like, this isn't really working for me. It's like, this is uncomfortable, like, right? Instead of asking, what do I need to feel supported in this uncomfortability? What do I need to feel supported in this awkwardness or in this challenge, in the discomfort of change, so that I can continue to show up consistently, right? Because when it's a relationship that we truly want, we're willing to do that. We're willing to work through it. We're willing to figure it out because we've decided on that relationship and we're committed to it, right? And if both parties are willing to figure it out, then magic happens. You know what I mean? So the universe is already a willing partner. It's just waiting for you to go first as the creator, as the creative agency here. You're the one that gets to choose and decide. And so the universe wants you occupying that level of creatrix energy. Like, okay, I'm decided, I'm choosing, let's go. The universe is meeting me halfway. I just need to decide, commit, and stand in that power and hold and run that energy on a regular basis, on a consistent basis, and show up for the things I said I was going to show up for, and the universe is going to meet me halfway, right? That's what the universe wants. It's like, there's so much potential and possibility floating around here in the ether. Who do I want to? That girl. I want to work with that girl. She's committed. She's decided. She's ready to rock and roll. That's the vessel I want to co-create with, right? I mean, think about it. Think about that. So deciding is your superpower. And again, the sneaky way you might be playing small, even if you're taking all the action, throwing spaghetti at the wall, wondering what's going to stick, that is again, that's playing it safe, right? That's not standing in your decision energy. That's not standing in your power. That's playing it safe, kind of asking the outside circumstances to validate for you what is already validated inside of you, okay? If it's written on your soul, if it's written on your heart, then that's the validation you need. So this is kind of like a self-trust thing. I trust that these things are here for a reason, and so I'm going to decide that I'm going to go after them until it happens or the desire changes, right? So the kind of, again, that perspective shift here is that that's the level the universe wants you playing at so that it can co-create with you, right? So that both of you can make it happen and figure it out. It's that level of commitment that the universe is really asking you to show up in, and it's asking you to show up first, right? So if you really want to play at this level, you have to be willing to go first. You have to be willing as the embodied with creative agency, right? You are the creative agent on this time space, on this plane. So it's up to you to go first, right? To decide and say, okay, I'm a willing, committed partner, meet me halfway. The beautiful thing about this is that, hold on. Standing in your decision energy like that and being willing to go first, there's actually so much freedom in that, because when we've decided, okay, I'm going after this thing, I'm picking this path or I'm picking this method and I'm going after it until it happens or the desire changes, that becomes our only job and our only task. And it sort of creates this container, right? I've already decided, and so anything that sort of butts up against that decision, like that, well, should I show up today? Do I really feel like it? That's no longer an issue. That's no longer like a question. That's no longer a thought that is entertained, right? Because you've decided. You already made the decision. And so it's like when those things arise, because they will, we're human. And when it comes to creating changes, embodied changes, behavioral changes, mindset changes in the way we think and the way we choose our thoughts, of course, that's challenging, that's hard, it's uncomfortable, right? And so, of course, the old thoughts are going to come up, like, well, do I, should I, is it right? Like, all those doubts are going to surface. It's just natural. But we don't have to entertain them anymore, because with our decision, we've created this container and this focus. And so when those things arise, it's, oh, hey, I see you, old doubt, but I've decided, so I'm choosing my decision instead. Like, right? Oh, hey, I hear you coming up, doubting uncomfortable thoughts, but I'm choosing a new thought. I'm decided, right? I'm going after this thing until it happens or the desire changes, you see? So it's just this beautiful, like, freedom where we don't even have to entertain those things. We don't have to worry about these things. We don't have to solve for those outside problems, because our only job then is to show up for the thing until it happens or the desire changes, right? And that actually releases us from all the micromanaging that we tend to want to do, micromanaging the universe. Excuse me, like placing expectations on the outcome and on the results. Because when it comes to this co-creative relationship with the universe, your job is the consistency. It is sticking to your decision, and the universe's is figuring out all the hows and the whens, right? You're just here to commit to what it is you said you were going to do, to show up for and do what it was you said you were going to do. That's your half of the relationship or partnership, and the universe manages the rest, right? Whereas when we're not in our decision energy, we are trying to micromanage all of those things. We're trying to micromanage the hows and the wins. But in our decision energy, we have one job, right? And so we get to release all of that stuff. Like even those thoughts that are like, well, is this the event where everything's gonna finally tick over and explode? Is this the event that's finally gonna land the thing I've been working for? Like, I don't even need to worry about that. That's not my job. That's the universe's job. Like I don't need to micromanage that. I have one job, and that is showing up consistently, right? Do you understand? Like, it sounds like there really is this beautiful release and freedom in that, because you just get to surrender those parts because you have one job in your decision energy, and that's just sticking to the thing you said you were going to stick to, sticking to your action plan, right? And so I love container work. So your decision becomes its own little like container. It is this boundary or parameter, right? We don't entertain those doubting thoughts, or those micromanaging thoughts, or those I don't feel like it today thoughts. We do what we got to do to support ourselves so that we can show up anyway and keep our commitments, right? That doesn't mean that we don't ever adapt the action plan. That doesn't mean that we don't ever get flexible or whatever. That doesn't mean that we never that if we pick something, we have to stick to it for like the next 30 years of our life, right? It's just this idea that we're so decided that we're willing to commit a period of time, a length of time, to actually go after something, even if it's challenging, even when it gets difficult, even when it gets uncomfortable, to get through the other side, okay? So in container work, I love using time as containers as well. And so when it comes to you making your decision to go after something and choosing a path, choosing a focal point, choosing a method, I would encourage you to do it for 90 days. Like, stick to that thing consistently for 90 days. And at the end of those 90 days, then you get a kind of reevaluate, okay, what is working here? What is what's the data showing me? What are the facts showing me? How can I amend or adapt this method or path? How can I go deeper, right? And so you're still giving yourself time to adapt if necessary, to create changes, to be flexible, but it isn't coming from that wishy-washy place of, oh, this is uncomfortable, so I'm going to avoid it. Right? Oh, this got challenging, so now I'm ghosting on my goals. You see, it's a totally different energy that we're approaching it from. So that's how you can leave behind that wishy-washiness and choose different, is you decide that you're going to go after your dream or your goal until it happens or the desire changes. Like, that's the level of commitment we're working with here. That's what the universe is asking of you again, and it's asking you to go first as the creative agent. You're the embodied creative agent, right? You're the embodied creatrix. And so you get to choose, you get to decide how it is you're going to go after your dreams, okay? There isn't a perfect path. It's this switching that there's this illusion that there is a perfect way or a perfect method or the perfect 4-step formula or the perfect secret hidden whatever. Like, just pick and go for it and stay committed and stay consistent and give yourself a container of 90 days, 30 days, 90 days, right? And show up for it consistently. Because again, the only way we make steady progress is consistency. And so if you feel like your progress isn't steady, ask yourself, am I switching every time it gets uncomfortable or I run into a challenge, instead of making it over the hump, instead of cresting over the hump, right? And again, the decision statement and the sort of container that's created therein, the boundaries and the parameters of, oh, I don't have to entertain that doubt. Oh, I don't have to entertain that questioning because I've already decided that I'm going after this. That wasn't like a conditional decision that, oh, if it got hard, then I'd change my mind. No, I'm decided, right? That's the level the energy is wanting to co-create with you on. And if you show up in that, the universe is going to meet you halfway, okay? Again, think about it as a relationship. If you really wanted to enter into a relationship with someone, like the universe wants to enter into a relationship with us as embodied creators, and that person was like wishy-washy and was only showing up unless it got hard or unless there was a challenge, you'd be like, bye, peace, pass, not interested. Like, I was here, I was committed, I was ready to make it work, and you're like, only if it feels good all the time. You know what I mean? So that's the sort of mindset shift that can help you get out of your own way, is that you have one job, and it's being committed to what you said you were going to show up for, and it's just consistently showing up for it, right? You don't have to micromanage the rest, and there is such a beautiful release and surrender that comes with that. Like, oh my God, I don't have to handle that. It's not my job. Thank God that's not my job, because that seems really overwhelming. The universe has my back. The universe is taking care of that piece. I'm just here to show up for the thing in the way I said I was going to show up for it consistently until it happens or the desire changes. That's all I gotta do, right? There's so much like, there's just like one thing that I gotta manage, and the universe is gonna manage the rest, okay? So, again, the first step to making steady progress on your dreams is deciding to show up consistently, okay? And that's going to change it all. Instead of this switching every time it gets uncomfortable, throwing spaghetti at the wall, hoping something sticks, you just got to pick. You just got to pick one, and you can't pick wrong. I promise, you can't pick wrong, okay? Like, it's all working, and you picking and you getting actionable is gonna be the thing that starts to move the needle. Sorry, getting actionable in an aligned way, right? Because we talked about how when you're throwing spaghetti at the wall, you're actionable, but it's not actually moving the needle. It's not actually making progress. So deciding is gonna help you get actionable and stay aligned so that the action actually moves the needle in a progressive way, okay? Because consistency is the thing that creates steady progress. With anything, you guys, think about it this way. I hate using diet culture as an example, but it just works so well. I need to find a new analogy or example, but like if your goal was to, let's say, gain muscle, right? There, you could pick there's so many different workout routines that you could pick. There's probably so many different workout methodologies regarding like the perfect time of day to work out, or the perfect meal to eat after or before you work out, and the perfect leg workout, and then the perfect whole body workout, the perfect workout with weights, the perfect workout without weights, right? Like, if you're trying to build muscle, there's probably like 1,000,001 methods or approaches, or, you know, to like take, right? If you're like constantly switching every time one of them gets hard, you might be building a little muscle, but you're not making steady progress probably, right? Because you're like quitting every time it gets hard. You're trying all the different things, burning yourselves out, right? Like, so but you could pick any one of those methods, and if you stuck to it long enough, you would make the steady progress you want. You know what I mean? Same with like if you were trying to lose weight, let's say. There's 1,000,001 diets. But if you stuck to any one of them for long enough, you would start to lose weight. You know what I mean? Like, it really is the consistency. And so the thing that is going to help you be consistent is making the decision. It is standing in your power as the creatrix, as the embodied creative agent, choosing, deciding, committing, and then showing up for the universe in that energy, so the universe can meet you where you're at and co-create with you in a powerful, committed way. Because if you're committed, it's gonna match that energy, right? You gotta be willing to go first, to make the decision to show up until it happens or the desire changes. And that decision, that ability to decide, that is your superpower. That is your creatrix superpower, okay? Think about that. That's how powerful you are. You get to decide. You get to decide. There's 1,000,001 ways. There's an infinite number of paths you can take. You get to decide what feels good for you and go after it in that way until it happens or the desire changes, okay? So that is what I have for you guys today. If you need some help in kind of like fleshing out your goals and what your decision could be around, what you can decide, kind of what your options are. And so if you need help fleshing out your decision statement and with regard to your goals and dreams, then feel free to book a Soul Synergy session with me. Those are free sessions. It's 25 minutes. We can do some work in getting you clear on your goals and dreams and picking a path that you can decide on so that you can, you know, go after it for 30 days or 90 days, collect some data and information, and start to see that you know, steady progress through your consistent commitment, right? So if you feel like you need a little support and kind of getting clear and figuring that stuff out, book a free Soul Synergy call with me and I can support you and walk you through how to do that. And that is what I have for you guys today. So I will see you all next Tuesday. Have a wonderful, lovely rest of your day. Mwah!